Hello, everybody, and welcome once again to a CM Kozeman live stream. We are recording on the 2nd of March 2025. I originally intended this to be a standalone YouTube video, but I think it's more fun to do with more people watching. So we will let people percolate and we will start analyzing our incredible big research reader of 1890s airship stories. Hello, everybody. Hello, Milady. Hello, Manyboy, Gnome's Child, MGO. Instant serotonin boost says, thank you. It means a lot. Cadence Slinker, Even Mouse, 11 people watching. Okay, so while you guys come in, let me find some pictures too. This is about the mystery airship craze, which took place in the USA in the 1890s. And it was arguably the world's first UFO craze. It was strange to notice how Americans, as soon as the technology for airships developed, they began to see mystery airships. And especially in America, there's always been this connection between, well, new technologies, media hysteria, and stories of the unknown. It is interesting to consider because we had similar drone crazes. Remember the New Jersey drone panic in, I think, November, December 2024? It's exactly the same thing. Some thing is seen somewhere. It is linked to a newly developing technology. It creates a panic. Even government gets involved. And then copycat cases begin to appear. Well, in the New Jersey panic, they had lots of fake news too. And towards the tail end of that craze, you actually had AI generated videos doing the round saying, oh, I saw another one. I saw another one. MGO says, could you share links with your research? Well, that's the great part. If you subscribe to me on patreon.com, I will actually be sharing this document as an ebook, and I will now mention my sources too. Now, let's just wait for a few more people to come in. 19, almost 20 people watching. That's great. Chancellor Palpatine says, what will happen with your cooperation with Turkish YouTuber Mert Günhan? So, Mert Günhan is a fellow Turkish YouTuber involved with, among other things, science fiction and otaku literature. And him and I had a really nice podcast almost 2 years ago now. We really want to make things happen. Let's hope, fingers crossed. Let's hope it happens. Okay. As you know, I'm recovering from a wisdom tooth surgery. And they shaved the bone and drilled, and they actually had to leave the root of the tooth in because it was fused to the bone, but they took everything out. It was also like impacted like a bullet. And the operation has left me twisted and disfigured. One of the side effects being I can't drink as much coffee anymore. If I have more than one cup, my entire jaw and my entire set of gums on the right side of my head, they start tingling up. Plus, there's a gum hole there that's like a kind of like a puckering, separating hole that I don't want anything to get into that hole. But yeah, so if I have more than one cup of coffee, it gets really sensitive. But for you, I'm having my second cup of coffee because it's nearly midnight here. But in order to better reach my American viewers, I am suffering. Well, I hope the sound is good, well, and the video is good. I hope there are no issues with those. Let me know if everything is good. Everything perfect, says MGO. Thank you. Okay, in I think 1 or 2 more minutes, we can get started. 20 people in. Call your friends. 24 people in. 10 people give a thumbs up. Now you can actually also even give super chats and donations. So if you feel charitable, if you maybe want to pay for this soda or this coffee or this dental surgery, I won't hold it against you. Oh God. The attack on my teeth has left me frail and disfigured. But my resolve has never been stronger. So we're gonna go with this. Okay, let's do a roll call, see where everybody is from. MGO says coffee with mineral water will definitely fuck your teeth gum up. Yes. Well, I rinse with the mineral water. I rinse the other side and my tongue. And then coffee is just to stay awake, and there's lots of milk in it, and it's lukewarm. So yeah. Plus, it's nearly been 1 month since the surgery, so I'm recovering. Anyways, let's do a roll call. Where are you from? Where are you from? Where are you from? And then we will go. Milady class is from Bethlehem, PA, home of Lehigh University, and the wayward colony of Moravian Christians, which are like an interesting cult. Matt Project from Paraguay, Nick Nikowski from Poland, Luke Saterna from Lithuania, Space Torturist from Spain. EC says, feels weird to have your jaw spaced differently. Yeah, all the teeth are feeling weird because they're like rearranging. Super Bantam is from the center of England. Who else? Who else? Come on. 22 people watching, and I haven't read 10 names, so let me know where you are from. MGO is from Ankara, the only real city in Turkey, and my hometown too. I actually will be in Ankara on the 7th of March 2025. I will be talking about science fiction at the Mülkiye School, that is the prestigious Turkish state school for foreign diplomats and State Department workers. So I'll be there. Caden Slinker is from the United States. Hayden is from California. Umya is probably he or she is a research supercomputer in Langley. Okay. Well, I knew some of you were AIs. No surprise there. Oh. Okay, well, let's go then. Let's go. This was actually meant to be like a proper YouTube video with like proper research and shit, but I think it's more fun to do it as a kind of stream. Edward Dory is from Boise, Idaho. It's a nice town. They're kind of trying to make it into a next Portland, which I hope never comes to pass. And I hope you're doing well in Boise, Idaho. Kid Fielder Cler 250 says they're from California. I love these kinds of nicknames. Gnome's Child is still chilling in upstate New York. Okay. Well, then let's go. Look, I originally planned this for. Let's see how we can both see this and that at the same time. Sorry, I'm just boomering the interface. Okay. Well, this is good enough. Space Torture asks a question. In this stream, I will be talking about the UFO craze in the States in the 1890s. So if the question is not topical, I won't be able to answer it. And yeah, let's see. I want to see the chat, but yeah, okay. And what if I do the view 2 pages? Okay. Wait. Okay. I guess you got no problem reading the text here, right? What? Huh? Blake Richardson says, hello. 18 says, covering any Minnesota UFO stories. We might get there. We'll see. Okay. So, just a oh, for fuck's sake. Okay. Let's go. I actually was really inspired during the New Jersey drone sightings, and I compiled an enormous reader of 1890s airship stories, and the sources for these stories come from these beautiful websites on the internet. They come from the more gentle and civilized era of the online experience, in which people were just building websites. I mean, I'm going to share one of these websites with you now. So wait. So you had websites like this. I don't know if you can see it, but it's like one person's web page. They put together all these links and text and images, and that everybody used to do websites like this. There were no overreaching platforms like Instagram, Twitter. The internet had not been trapped inside these 3 or 4 mega social network sites, and you could just post, share, and write anything could want. And that is the case with many of these websites. Can you see this page? Oh, it's black again. Well, okay, you cannot see the page. I'm sorry. But yeah, basically, I went through a lot of these old websites, okay? And I compiled this reader for you, dear viewers. And we're going to go through them one by one. And this is my basically these are all the websites I crawled through. This took me this took me around like 2 weeks of research time. Yeah, websites like Angel Fire. It was a different time. It was like an era in which the first printing presses were made, and you could write or publish anything and people could see it. You had these things called web rings, in which one website about a certain subject linked to a few others, forming a ring. So you had a dinosaur web ring, a UFO web ring, and like a lot of interesting characters. And so, yeah, basically, it all starts. Just a second. Okay. Yeah, I think the continuous scroll is the best way to go with this. Okay, now, can you read the text properly? Because this is important. Is the text visible? Are there any problems? Just confirm you can read the text and it looks good. Okay, then we're going to go through this big reader. And once again, if you support me on Patreon, you can download this reader. It's an enormous, it's like a small book actually, a 70-page ebook. And I have it in PDF and EPUB format, so you can read it wherever you go. This is the introduction that I wrote for it. So it basically gives an introduction to this thing, and it just starts. It all starts in Michigan, interestingly, in 1897. And well, here it begins. In the Detroit Evening News, there's an article called "The Vagrant Airship." The incredulity with which reports of a wandering airship have been received has been much qualified by events which occurred here last evening. About 10 o'clock, a brilliant white light suddenly appeared, accompanied by a sharp crackling sound, evidently coming from above. These phenomena lasted probably for 30 seconds and startled the spectators. They had their minds blown. That's what they would say if they were disgusting millennials. And a Mrs. Wingate, residing just over the line of Charleston Township, asserts that she distinctly heard voices from above. Okay, so this UFO sighting was also accompanied by voices, according to one crazy lady. And as you're reading this, I want you to also consider their similarity to contemporary UFO accounts, because with this big compilation of weird stories, I'm trying to prove to you that this is a media phenomenon and a distinctly American media phenomenon. And it's just delicious to go through stories like that. And I arranged it in such a way that this is the city it's in, this is the source newspaper, these are the headlines, and the date just above. And if you notice, the date here is April the 1st. This is obviously not a coincidence. A lot of these stories are hoaxes and April Fool's stories. And well, in those days, you had also had a profession called the rewrite man. And the job of the rewrite man was to take a news story that was sort of mid, but okay, still worth reporting, and then exaggerate it. So if there was a fire, the rewrite man would just go and say, "Oh, three screaming babies were rescued from the fire in the last instant before the house exploded," or stuff like that. Kotobuki says, "Happy early birthday. I still have months and months to go." Edward Dory asks, "What makes Americans latch on to UFOs?" Well, I think Americans have always been a very technical and media minded country. And they were taming a new continent, and they also had a religious background, let's say, a background full of like a background hinging upon revelation and like great celestial things happening. So I think in that way, UFO stories were like a technologically and media mediated continuation of these very interesting, almost like end of days sensibility. Also, these are cool stories, and as you will see now, the newspapers just report, and you can see how the reports keep getting exaggerated, and yeah. Edward Dory talks about Rewrite Man. One of the best of them was the late Philip O'Connor, who worked for 40 years compiling a story in less than 15 minutes. Well, a job I would love to have, actually. Okay, then going on, in Grand Traverse, Michigan, they saw a beautiful ball of fire. One moment it was brilliant, the next it was dimmed, as if covered by a veil. It lasted an hour. Once again, these dates aren't really encouraging it. And then we moved to Hudson, Michigan. By the way, if you're from any of these towns, please give me a holler, and yeah, I'll holler back at you. Wednesday morning, a beautiful ball of fire, 8:15. Oh my God! Gave me $5. Thank you so much. Godspeed, gummy hole, close up. When? Well, unfortunately, the gummy hole is quite big and gaping. And they also shaved a part of the bone. So it's more like the gummy trench. And I don't want to think about it. I just don't think about it. Yeah. If we collect more than $25 tonight, I will personally grab a flashlight. I will grab a flashlight and I won't simulate a UFO, but I will give you the gummy hole revealed. So that's my promise. $25 and you see the gummy hole, okay? Okay, continuing with our UFO sightings. Nick Niktowski asks the questions. Look, guys, I'm reading from this thing now. Unless it's a super chat or unless it's extremely relevant, like if you're from one of these towns or something, I got my eye on the on the chat. But yeah, I will have to focus on the stories, unless it's a super chat or if it's extremely relevant. Okay. Then we move on to April the 2nd. This is the beautiful thing about research. You can follow something that happened over 120 years ago, day by day. In Marshall, Michigan, the Daily Chronicle reports the airship which has been floating about in Nebraska is evidently coming eastward. And we will see the Nebraska stories later. And yeah, they saw it in Galesburg, which is a similar town, I guess. Then the Battle Creek Daily Journal reports from Galesburg, people residing here claim that an airship passed over this place about 10 o'clock last night. A brilliant white light suddenly appeared, accompanied by a sharp, crackling sound. Once again, either they're reprinting the same story or the same airship is doing the rounds. Who knows? Others claim to have heard voices coming from a dark object, which they say floated through the air. Now that's a really interesting thing. It's really unlike many UFO stories we have now because we have a dark object and there are voices coming. What are the voices saying? Like speaking in tongues and shit? Or are they more insidious? Remember, what was this lady's name? Mrs. Wingate. What did the voices tell her? Rub one out. Or something. I don't know. Well, this is really fun to read these stories. Okay. Again, in Battle Creek, the Daily Journal reports from Omaha, Nebraska. An airship was seen sailing through space by hundreds of people in this city Tuesday night. The vessel appeared to be 90 feet in length, 30 meters to Europeans, elliptical in form, and carried a bright light in front and a red light in the rear. So, yeah. If you want to draw any of these things, by the way, do let me know. Hayden says the Battle Creek town in Michigan is the home base for the Seventh day Adventist sect, which is interesting. So, yeah, I mean, look, so right now we got several theories developing. Like it's either a April Fool's joke which got out of hand, or maybe some religious mania is going through. The voices are an interesting thing. Like in a lot of UFO cases, the aliens do speak to people, but usually these come out afterwards with hypnosis and shit. But yeah, with these things, Turan says I wasn't expecting another stream. Well, this is a research stream too. This is a direction I want to take this channel in, actually. So yeah, then on April 13, there's another wave in Michigan. Now this is called the Michigan Airship Flap, and you see how nicely I formatted this document into like chapters and shit. So in Benton Harbor, the evening news reports airship seen here. It was moving in a northwesterly direction. The Kansas airship has visited Benton Harbor. Remember, this all started in Nebraska and Kansas, and the news are kind of like percolating. We will get to the Nebraska cases too later on. The distinction of seeing the aerial wonder does not now alone belong to Iowa, Illinois, Wisconsin, and Kansas towns. The ship made its flight across the heavens over this city last night, seen exclusively by residents of Morton Hill. John Lee is among those who saw the marvelous vessel. Like this is a rewrite, man, basically like pumping up the slope here, just glazing it and like embellishing it. Marvelous vessel. There's always almost also like a state competition. Like you got the UFO, we got the UFO too, motherfuckers. Okay, another Mr. Lee saw a huge ball of fire when viewed with the naked eye, but Mr. Lee was a gentleman, so he had opera glasses. So he took the opera glasses and looked at it, and its aspect greatly changed. It threw off a variety of colored lights of soft, mellow luster. Wow. Battle Creek is where the Kellogg breakfast cereal guy is and the medieval and the sanitarium was. And this guy, the Kellogg guy, actually, the guy responsible for cornflakes was a major freak. He believed in, I think, semen retention and had kind of like a quasi medical weird quack cult going on. And yeah, lights of soft, mellow luster. 815 says, I want to be probed. Well, you have been very generous. I cannot probe you, but I will indulge you in thus. Because of your donations now, we're going on UFO mode. I'm just changing everything to UFO settings here. Fucking UFO mode in this bitch. Wait. Yeah. Got the mellow light and the red light. I will actually OnlyFans cosplay you as a UFO myself. And read it that way. Yes, this is peak representation. Yeah, that's what your money does. Whoring out for an honest buck. Actually, there's a better way to do this. Wait. Okay. Oh, let's go. Okay, continuing on. MGO with a big dictono. Here I come with big, strong gigachat Turkish liras. Well, thank you, my friend. God has truly blessed you on this beautiful night. Thank you so much. You've been extremely generous. Allah razı olsun, as Turkish people say. May God grant you. No, may God. How do you translate Allah razı olsun? I got a strange memory with Allah razı olsun, by the way. Some I always say it when people like give me food or money or something. Allah razı olsun, but to my parents, it's a no word because it sounds like a conservative guy, so they hate that word. They think they're Europeans or some sort of royalty, but no, they're just stuck here with the rest of us. God fucking damn. Okay. Okay, let's keep reading. In Grand Rapids, Michigan, thank you so much MGO, by the way. Allah razı olsun gerçekten. Şerefe. Scene in Michigan. Ship of Space startled Holland last night. That's Holland town. It coquetted about Black Lake, then darted the fuck out of sight. It coquetted. It means like coquettish, almost means flirted. That nasty, nasty machine moved in a zigzag style and seemed under perfect control. So now the idea of this being an operated vehicle is coming into play, and it was a large dark mass apparently lit with colored electric lights, and electric also was a big new thing back then, so keep that in mind too. And yeah, it just moved in zigzag style and seemed under perfect control, although you could argue that like a zigzag machine, you know, really wouldn't be under perfect control, would it? Yeah. Ooh. Haha. Okay. I love that I look like this, yet I'm reading in a very serious way. This is no joke. Okay. Scene in Michigan. Ship of say. Okay, we read this one. Then in Battle Creek again, the Kellogg's masturbation retention town and insane asylum. That airship, what is supposed to be it, seen by many citizens here last evening. And many people, when they look at these old news, many credulous people say, oh, you know, they were seeing these things 100 years ago and it must be true. But then when you read like writing like this, you realize there were charlatans and con men 100 years ago too. So, yeah, what is supposed to be it? What is believed by many to be much talked of and mysterious airship made itself visible to many residents of Michigan's Queen City. That's a reference to Battle Creek. Last evening at 8:55. Now they give a list of people, so you know their word is good. And this is just I love this thing. It's like a 100% proof that this is a lie, but they're attaching the names of these notables, so you know it sounds more official. That's a very American thing to do. Leo Clausen Esquire and J.H. Dorsey observed it from the window of the former's office. They were like doing low shit and like, what's that light, Dorsey? No fucking believe it. It's that airship. Oh my god. Doctor, there's a doctor too. Lawyers, doctors, engineers. Ex-alderman Tosberry, station agent at Nichols, saw it from that point. Dr. McGuffin. His name is McGuffin. From a point near the sanitarium, that's the madhouse. That's the madhouse you guys are talking about. Turan says these were airships or early airplane tests or can be a Zeppelin. Well, read on it. They might be Zeppelins, but the way they're reported, no Zeppelin made a like voice broadcast. The origin maybe, the origin maybe, or at least some of these may distantly be caused by Zeppelins, but read the way they move and all this associated weird shit, and you see this is something else. And by the way, if there's another donation, I'm putting on sunshades. Okay. Um, yeah. At first, it seemed to be about a mile high. Then suddenly, it is averred by many who saw it. A report was heard which sounded like, so there's like a big noise, sparks flew forth, and the ship, which looked between 20 feet, 5 and 30 feet length, commenced to settle slowly. A buzzing sound was heard. Sparks again flew forth from as from an emery wheel. I think that's like a firework, and the uncouth object commenced to slowly raise, almost in a perpendicular position. Now, these things they are describing are certainly not a zeppelin or an airship. I mean, it could be a number of things, least of which is it could be a lie. But yeah, the sky was perfectly clear at the time. The ship was visible for not more than 5 minutes. If it was not an airship, look, people knew about airships. So if it was not an airship, what was it? Of course, there has been much joking concerning it, and among the explanations offered was one that it was the brilliancy of the new city administration reflected in the sky. That's a jab, obviously. They use such basically they're like saying the city administration is corrupt or inept, but they're so brilliant it reflects from the sky. While another explained that it was a Republican balloon raising over the sanitarium on a trip skyward. So yeah, another political jab. But yeah, that's one thing I really like about these American news reports, that they're rich. And remember, those days there's no TV, not even radio, and these newspapers are your only source of like news and infotainment, like rather like what I'm doing here with YouTube. That was the only thing people had. So it's like a little mysterious, a little scary, a little serious with all these names, and then also comical too. Dominic De Coco says, Hayırlı Ramazanlar. Thank you. Even though I'm not fasting, thank you. And happy Ramadan to everybody celebrating. And MGO asks an X Files question, but I told you we have to stay on topic. Clam James says, epic outfit. Yeah, I'm just celebrating patrons' super chats by doing funny dress up things. So, yeah. Look at me. Oh my god, when I'm like this, you really see the Jewish connection in my pedigree. Oh, what are we going to do? Evil Republican spaceballs are quite permanent in disguise of shitball, Michigan, says Blake Richardson. Okay. Then we're in Saginaw, Michigan, and the 13th of April, the airship with us. It was seen by responsible citizens in a number of cities. So, yeah, no riffraff, serious people saw this. You are serious people. It settled within half a mile of the earth at Battle Creek. Red and green lights were seen, and the buzz of machinery were heard. That the airship, which is supposed to be in Michigan, so they're really looking at this thing as if it's an airship. So they think maybe it's like landed somewhere, and every night it takes flight, and yeah, and it's a similar report, same as the one above. There's an explosion, sparks, it moves, and then yeah. Then in Niles, another town, the mysterious object, which has been inhabiting the heavens for the last 2 weeks, was rapidly moving northeast, no outline seen. Mysterious aerial visitor was watched until it disappeared from view. Reports from nearby points state that the same object, okay, everybody keeps seeing this in all these towns. In Holland, There's a large black mass. It hovered and then started off. Bright colored light streamed out from in front and behind the object. People here think it was an airship. Okay, this is the most like cut and dry report. And then in Benton Harbor, Michigan, the airship with us famous last words. Yeah. Benton Harbor, Michigan. Benton Harbor eyes are as sharp as anybody's, and the rest of the world needn't think it can eclipse our vision when there's airships to be seen. Several of our people have seen the airship. It's already startled the inhabitants of 7 states. Was last reported to be hovering over Chicago. Oh my God, airship's gone to town. No less than 3 persons, it is reported, saw the thing, headlights, tail lights, outriggers, illumination, and all. To be sure, no one can. So everybody sees, but no one can give an account. Oy, oy. 29 people watching my antiques, and it's almost been an hour. So now they're introducing the story, the possibility that this might be out of the world. They call it the critter. Moreover, everybody who sees it disagrees with everyone else about its precise characteristics. That's like typical of like mania or hysteria or large numbers of people lying for media exposure. But these are trifling details not to be considered at all. Now, like these guys, they know what's up and they're making fun of the hysteria. Here, as elsewhere, the nature of an airship is not known, but it comes from Mars or any other planet. We hope it has brought sufficient atmosphere of its own to exist until it reaches terra firma or gets near to be photographed. Even New Troy residents claim that they have seen the alleged airship, which has caused much excitement. Some of the citizens of that quiet little village are ready to take their oath. They're taking like, cross my heart and hope to die, that an airship passed within 2,000 feet of them. Okay. Then back at Battle Creek, seen at Niles and Holland, it's again like, so in these newspapers, it's like an echo chamber. So the story kind of like reverberates back and forth between these different newspapers. Prominent jeweler of the city and a traveling salesman saw this supposed airship. So everybody saw it once again, but the lead was a bright electric light. Rather like my bright electric light, don't you think? Oh well. What do you think? I hope you're enjoying, and I hope this isn't boring, y'all. Somebody's giving me hearts. Thank you so much. Okay. Detroit, Michigan. Now it starts to take it off. Did it go to smash in Kalamazoo County? Oh my God, what's that airship doing? Airship taking a spin over Michigan if testimony of sober man is accepted. Now, of course, this shows you that drunkenness was a big deal back in those days. 20 reputable citizens claim that they've seen the airships hovering above the sanitarium. To be honest, maybe like Kellogg or somebody is doing some weird shit at the sanitarium, maybe releasing something like Chinese lanterns or just like a hot air balloon at night with some lanterns attached. Maybe that was the origin of the whole thing, huh? Okay. The upper part was in the form of a cone from which was suspended a large object cylindrical in form. At the rear of the lower object was some kind of wheel which made a bzzz. Okay. When first observed, it was almost a mile high. Suddenly there was an explosion. Again, sparks flew out. Then it lowered itself. Ex-Sheriff Powell, who wanted to be justice of the peace, says, "Nonsense. These silly people were looking through beer bottles last night." Yeah, Yet, many respectable citizens are ready to insist they were sober. Yeah, I mean, like newspapers know what's up. And I think this is a bit like YouTube drama. Yeah, and, in the contemporary day and age, people talk about drama over a certain issue. Let us say like, Israel war or I don't know, some perverts accusations or something like that. But the real deal is the drama surrounding this. So yeah, lower the camera, pretty boy says 1815. Well, I'm afraid the airship doesn't have that control, but thank you so much for this big dick dono. I will instead progress one step further into UFO mode. God damn, now we're really talking business here. Screenshot this if you must. Actually, I'm going to stop sharing and show you all the ridiculous state which life has put me into, hustling for an honest buck, reading vintage UFO reports to you all. I got the red light here, white light here, dark lights here. It's just a UFO object. Blake Richardson says, Cosm at max power, absolutely the best time to join the stream. I just got here, says Jerry Caleb. Well, if there's any more donations, this outfit will only increase in complexity. That is the way of the airship. Jerry Caleb says, what's on your palms? Stigmata? No, I was painting earlier. So it's just paint and shit. Okay, let's continue sharing now. Okay, what do you think about the story so far? It's really developing, and like the newspapers are clearly having a fun time with it too. Now, the Detroit Evening News joins the fray and says in April 13th that it was seen at Lansing. Various descriptions of the airship from the capital. I think that's the state capital of Michigan. I might be wrong. 1815 says, come on, strip. I'm afraid we can't do this. Family stream here. But for your incredibly generous contributions, I will increase the sophistication of my costume. Where is that? God. Now you gotta make me do it. I have to bring out this incredible plastic snake, which was gifted to me by my late grandfather in the Turkish Republic of North Cyprus, in the classic vintage Dome Hotel in Kyrenia, long before any of you were born. And it's a hallowed piece of family history, and it's going to join us. Thanks for your donations, but let's keep the comments family friendly too. Okay, I think now I have reached my perfect final form. All right, I look like one of these characters from the UK music band Madness. Their videos are always like this. Okay. Okay, so the mysterious airship was plainly visible here last night. Senator William Thompson, who was in the backyard of the orphan's home, assisting a family cat to a tree, assisting the family cat to tree a ground mouse, saw the airship plainly. This is just like the internet. The cat was chasing a mole up a tree, and then the senator was attending it near the orphan's home, and he saw it too. Okay. And was officered by a tall, fleshy individual who bore a remarkable semblance to Sibrant Vesalius. I think this is just pure political parody. He could give no detailed description of the ship. He asserts that it was headed towards Cairo and was officered by a tall, fleshy individual. So it's obviously a caricature of a certain local politician, but we're too far removed from the context to make sense. The governor says the ship had 8 arms like a squid or an octopus, and the initial MCRR were plainly visible under the bow anchor. Again, some stupid people will say, "Oh, look, it was an organic UFO with like tentacles and stuff," but actually, it's the octopus thing is a political jab. The MCRR, whatever this is a political jab. And that the ship contained Henry Rizal, the company's Detroit attorney, who was making a secret call on Sky Olds. On the other hand, Mr. Olds, who saw the ship, denies the statement. So this is like they're poking fun at local politicians and like something. We don't know. We're too far removed from the context. And then they also make fun of theosophy, that weird quasi-religious thing. Mr. Bates, who is a deep student of theosophy, declares that the so-called airship is the astral body of the governor's Detroit machine, and that in accordance with the practice of all astral bodies, it is loafing in the vicinity of the presence, awaiting the opportunity to reincarnate itself. Once again, really fun, but we don't know the context. But yeah, the more you read this, the more you realize that it started on April Fools, and it continues with these humorous stories, and it looks like there was not even an airship to begin with. Okay. Wow, I've been yapping my mouth off for nearly an hour. At Grand Rapids, Michigan again, the airship, a dream of the future, modernized Chicago, not only windy city where airships sail up to date firms do business. Last night, about 400 people saw what the mysterious airship in the vicinity of Michigan. It was supposed to be the same flying machine which was seen in Chicago. It looked like a speck of black in the sky with a sort of searchlight in the front and green and white lights in the middle and the end. Suspended from the side was a large banner, which was a large advertisement calling upon the Bodenstein clothing company and a great trouser sale. Yeah, they are like The firm was interviewed, and it was learned that they had supplied the airship crew with bicycle caps, sweaters, and belts. They're making fun of it. Again, in Grand Rapids, the evening press reports the heavenly invader was plainly visible. It dodged and sizzled over Battle Creek and finally faded into space. An airship was seen to pass west of the city. Once again, there's sparks and it goes down to the ground. This is a more lackluster story. Now it's just a. Umya says the initials MCRR on the sides of the airship are probably a reference to the Michigan Central Railroad. Probably. So maybe they're kind of hinting at some railroad related shenanigans, or I don't know, but it's really fun to see. Also, it's really cool to see these people had a sense of humor. You know, they were not like these ultra serious movie characters. People always have a sense of humor, especially when media is concerned. It's really funny. I'm sure there are people who read this today and take it seriously. It's like in 100 years they will uncover our YouTube stuff, maybe some of those YouTube-based Spec Evo projects, and they will think it's real. It's like thinking a meme is a real alien encounter. Okay, so that's that for this chapter. And then Michigan had a spate of airship encounters in April, once again, continuing on with now the airship dies in Battle Creek. That airship, that fucking airship, it blew up, went to pieces before it was seen in Battle Creek. George Summers and William Chadburn of Pavilion Township claimed that the airship went to pieces. Oh no! They heard a dull explosion. And the lights on the supposed airship went out. The next morning, it says a part of the propeller and some wire were found, which proved that the thing had burst. I wonder if this was like a model, like not a fully sized Zeppelin, but maybe like something like a commercial dirigible that somebody floated. It looks like most people would know who to. And it was just duping people. It was like a big elaborate joke. And I'm sure somebody's going to read this seriously and say, oh, look, it was a UFO crash before Roswell. Herr Jerry Caleb says, imagine archaeologists uncovering the ruins of Disneyland. Yeah. In Saginaw, Michigan. The mysterious airship. About a dozen people saw the airship again. It was going north about 40 miles an hour. It looked like an immense ball of fire. Although it was a clear night, the outlines were not visible. Editor, something was among those who saw it. He probably actually wrote these stories. I mean, you got to read between the lines here. In Kalamazoo, airship or no, the strange body that passed over the city Monday evening was taken by many to be the airship. It came from the southeast. When about 2 miles northeast of the city, the object changed its course. Once again, we get the reference of the reddish-green light, which threw right on all sides. It was a doohickey and was 6 times as large as any star in the heavens, airship or whatever it may be. There is some strange skylarking about the heavens that has been seen by thousands and thousands of people in different positions of the country. What it is, astronomers ought to be getting on to. One thing is certain, it goes through space like a rocket. Well, if there was anything real, I really think that it was like a unmanned small dirigible with maybe fireworks attached. Umia says if it blew up, it must be military surplus because those things are never properly made. Haha, okay. In Adrian, Michigan, at last they saw the airship displaying three colored lights. But Benton Harbor, April 15 now, 3 days onwards. Some of their citizens imagined they saw the airship again. He found a large tissue paper balloon. Okay, okay. So now we got some hints, and yeah, it's exactly as I suspected. Portions of electric appliances and a point of propeller blade were found. In Chicago, a policeman came to be the nearest. He found a large paper tissue balloon of red, white, and blue paper. So yeah, I probably was like a big Chinese lantern kind of thing with tied in fireworks, maybe. A cashier at Morrow and Sons Annex saw the airship. You think so? The outlines. Battle Creek again. At 8 o'clock, they saw it again. The most general explanation made of the object was it is some kind of meteor or shooting star, but unlike those things, it can change color and direction. That the mysterious object of the last evening was not human origin, it was plainly evidenced by the speed at which it was moving, which was against the wind. So now we have the one of the first stories that seriously postulates an alien origin for this shit. And reading on, the airship is no more. Oh my god. So once again, the communications are not very fast, so the airship blew up again. All this hyperactive manic reading has kind of made me tired. Would you want there to be a second part of this? Let's finish up with the airship exploding, and then we can look at some of your questions and comments and kind of do like goodbye super chats and shit, and then we can do another live stream to continue reading. And if you like this podcast so far, you can also always go to my Patreon to download this ebook. So yeah, Kalamazoo, people of Pavilion have made startling reports. Old soldiers claim to have seen the ship as they were looking at a sick horse. It was lit up at both ends and moved through space with a wonderful rapidity. They declared that the sound it made was like heavy ordnance, so like and then there was something like a thunder explosion. They found some heavy wire, coils of wire, and some very light material. So looked like the airship had blown up. Okay, let's see how long this goes. So now let us conclude here. The airship kind of blew up, but I am going to bookmark this and we will continue reading in the next stream. What do you think about this phenomenon so far, everybody? And what do you think about like any questions, comments? Where are you all from? Had you looked into such reports before? Are you living in or near any of these towns? If so, I would really like to hear more about this. Blake Richardson says, very interesting. We're going to continue with this, and the reports go through a lot of towns, a lot of states. At one point, New York joins in, making fun of the flyover state people. Well, there were no airplanes, so the word flyover state came, of course, later on, but still, you know what I mean. The big cities' disdain of the rural countryside. Nicholas Fortney says merely swamp gas 815 says it's intriguing bullshit. Okay. Jerry Caleb says I vaguely remember a colonial era town burying an alien from a UFO crash. Interesting. I live in northern Michigan, says Blake Richardson, so I don't know what happens down in Shitbulb, Michigan. Why do you call it Shitbulb? Is it a part of town you don't like, or like, I don't get it. All right, 24 people watching. Any newcomers since we started? Anybody join midway? Just trying to drum up interactions is all. Oh. First Last says, my brother in Christ, are you an alien? No, I'm just an eccentric Turkish YouTuber trying to make an honest buck. When people donate, I pay the favor back by putting on one weird article of clothing. So first I was just broadcasting normally, then I put on this lamp, then I put on this lamp, then I put on these glasses, then I put the snake on. Now I'm in my final form. Wednesday is Ash Wednesday, so if anybody is celebrating, happy Ash Wednesday too. Also, we are in Ramadan. If anybody is fasting, happy Ramadan to you too. What else? EC says, if you were in the woods, you'd be passable flatwoods monster. Yeah, and would probably be shot at for it too. First Last says, do you think if you found future if you in the future found artifacts from your life, would you be able to figure out what was going on? So if I'm in the future and I find artifacts from my life, it will just be memories. Do you mean if anybody in the future? If anybody in the future found stuff from my life and work, of course, I mean, look, people are creative. I'm lucky in some respects, but I don't think this is out of the world. It's just creativity and compassion. That's all. And yeah. Ummia says, wasn't there a big comet or astronomical event around that time? And Jerry Caleb answers saying there was a planetary alignment. First Last says, I lots of cats and anime girls. I think anime girls make almost like a negligible amount of my artistic outputs. I mean, if you took a screenshot like this and you printed it, and put it in a time capsule, maybe then you could confuse some future generations. But you got all this like weird eye candy being served to you for free. Shame not to screen cap. Yeah. An hour and 10 minutes. This was a fun and informative thing. I really like researching something and reading it out and sharing it with you. I think it's really fun. We're going to continue with the UFO reader. We're on page 22 now, and this was a almost 70, almost 80 page book. So, yeah, we're not done with this yet. The airship appeared, a lot of people saw it, a lot of people took it seriously, then a lot of people laughed at it. It was at the butt of at least a few political jokes, but then it blew up. Now we will see what's next in store for the mysterious airship. Blake Richardson says, we now know what God looks like. Hasha, they would say in Turkey. The appearance of God is unfathomable, and I would never make such a claim, not even as a joke. Well, 16 people watching. I think this was a fun night. This, by the way, for the record, is one day after Trump and Vance's snub of, well, the corrupt Ukrainian President Zelensky. And today in European news, they are riling up, they're banging on the war drums. It seems like they're forming a European or NATO coalition to take Russia on. Keir Starmer was on TV saying they might be even sending military personnel to Russia, which is scary if you live in the UK. So one more step along the way to escalation towards World War III, and here we are reading 120-year-old UFO reports or political humor, dressing up and making fools of ourselves. Ummaya says, all hail our Lord and sweatshirt and headlamp. No. Blitnik says, thank you so much, man. Thank you so much. You've been very generous. Why is your eye glowing? Long story. The eye is reflecting the monitor. But long story, for each donation, I add another article, which I think I need to do now because you donated. Okay, I'm in full airship mode now. It's such a state. Oh my God, just take a screenshot, please. Okay, with that being said, any last comments, words? 20 people watching. I wouldn't want it any other way, says Hayden. Okay. He's going to fly after 2 more donations and become a UFO. It's important to learn about the past, to understand the future, says Umaya. He controls the past, controls the future. It's a nice Rage Against the Machine lyric. Hearts pouring in. An hour and 15 minutes. Well, everybody, this UFO summarizes, I'm fasting, Allah kabul etsin. Remember to wake up for the second round of eating near the dawn. Drink lots of water, stay hydrated, don't work during the day too much. Samurai says Ramadan Kareem. Thanks man. Hayırlı Ramazanlar, we would say in Turkish. This Ramadan Kareem phrase made inroads in Turkey. I was at a coffee house recently. All the cups, this is in Turkey, had Ramadan Kareem printed on it. Whereas I have nothing against the Arabic language, it is a language of colonized Muslims. And Turkey, in Turkish, there's a independent and very robust tradition. So with all these greetings, unless I am talking to an Arabic speaker, I would always respond with the Turkish version. First, that says, what about the Abu Humma al-Juani guy? Are you talking about the de facto ruler of Syria? I don't know. It's too early to say anything. We are living through a great big dynamic Cold War between the US and Russia, but not just the US, also the Western Alliance, whatever those countries are. They won at Syria. So now this isolation of Ukraine is maybe the counterstroke to that. But with these things, it's always better to wait for a year or two before committing to any answer. Because usually you really can't tell what's happening when you're in the thick of it. $8.15 says, this is hilarious. You're dressed like this. Well, your donations have made that possible. Oh, well, look. Ah, okay. Wow, this is really peak form now. I got the LED glare reflected through the webcam filter. So it looks like a kind of Terminator reticle on my other eye. Acquiring target. Why do you have so much flashlight? This is to read in the bed. This is to look at my isopods. This is just general flashlight. Okay, 20 people watching. 20 people watching. How are you keeping the hood up? Well, the lamp is jammed between my head and the top of the hoodie. It's like so. Super Bantam says, you have pet isopods? Yes, I do. All right, everybody. This is pure magic, says MGO. Okay, great. Look, let us say goodnight properly. So tell me where you're from, and I'll give a shout out to everyone, and then we can end the stream properly. Samurai is from Turkey. Great. First last from Kansas. Good night, Kansas. 8:15 is from Minnesota. Good night, Minnesota. Charlie Kane from Cali. Good night, Charlie. Clam James. Hello, Ireland. Super Bantam from England. Jerry Caleb. Cartersville, Georgia, USA. Samurai is from Mardin. Are you from Yenişehir or the Old Town? Or Midyat? I traveled a lot around Mardin. Ha! I traveled mostly on a sightseeing tour to the Syriac churches and temples. Wonderful part of Turkey. Upper Michigan, Blake Richardson, Chad Darwin from Mars, Samurai, very old Sumer. Yeah, probably true. Okay, and with that, MGO is from Ankara. İyi geceler. Once again, I will be in Ankara this weekend probably. So contact me if you want to meet up. This weekend being the week that ends at the 7th of March 2025. Super Bantam says he's a bioluminescent post-human. Okay. Edward Dory says I grew up near Haven, Kansas, which is near Wichita. Karabinas, where are you, king? The location of the Cosmonite homeworld is one of the best kept secrets of the galaxy. Okay, that's that, everyone. Nearly 1 hour and a half. I hope you enjoyed this because this will continue. As always, thank you for your time. I love you all and good night. The UFO is crashing now.